So the last day of my college, the 10th day when I decided कि this is it, I'm not going to come to college again. तुम्हें समझ नहीं आता कि तुम इस सीट पर बैठकर उसको वेस्ट कर रहे हो? And I was like,
Hi everyone, welcome to Conversation with Kushal once again. Today we have one young 20-year-old interesting guy who's going to share a lot of his stories and lessons with all of us. And he has been super inspiring to me in terms of innovating and coming up with unique ideas each and every time I watch his content. He's none other than Vyom Bhatia. Thank you so much, Vyom, for accepting my invitation. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
thank you for having me here.
Thanks a lot, man. So, can you just tell the audience about you, like briefly, what do you do, what do you work, and then we'll take the further questions there.
Okay. So I'm Vyom. I'm a co-founder at a company called Tal64, and Tal64 is basically a company that invests in other companies and we help them grow. And that's about us. As Kushal mentioned, I'm 20 years old. I am a college dropout. I never really finished college, and my journey has been jumping from several fields to finally finding what I love, which is content, basically. So yeah, thanks for having me here.
Perfect. That's like a very interesting introduction. I wish I would have that kind of a courage at that age of my life, where even I could have dropped out and started something of my own. Maybe we can discuss that in more detail, and I'll ask you more questions about Tal64 also.
Sure.
Before that, just can you walk us through your early childhood? How was it? Where did you spend most of your time in schooling, education, etc.? And how was like that entire phase for you?
I think my childhood was pretty normal. Like it was middle class, super middle class family in a small city. It's not a small city. It's Faridabad, but no one knows Faridabad. So I used to tell everyone कि South Delhi से हूँ. Well, technically it's not South Delhi. It's Faridabad. It's part of Haryana, and it was a very normal childhood. Went to Delhi Public School. I studied there, and then after that, I went to Delhi University to study. I entered college. I realized how fucked up everything was, and I was like, यहाँ से निकलना पड़ेगा. And I saw my peers, and I saw my peers, do things for the sake of it. Saw them, indulge in trivial things, and that really picked me off. I'm like, why are you doing these things? On the side, I was just constantly asking myself, what's next as a question? Like, what am I really doing in life? Was my question. And my question was like, how do I act upon it? Even in like my early days in childhood, I was always about this idea that I will take a toy, I will break it down to understand what's happening inside of it. Right. So I think the best way to describe me would be I'm just curious, and like I'm super curious around what's happening, right? Like you're super curious about finance. I'm curious about everything in general. So a very, very broad niche I've picked up so far.
That's a very interesting one. I think curiosity is something which is very underrated, to be honest. That is a trait which all of the successful people also have. So tell me one thing, what are some trivial things you noticed in your batchmates that made you feel like, अरे यार इसमें तो कुछ अभी मजा नहीं आ रहा है?
I would randomly jacker, they were trying to achieve things that had no meaning.
Like?
Let's say that you have a problem with someone wearing pink shoes inside of the college. You want to talk about it, that's great. You want to make a meme out of it, that's fantastic. What's the point of it? You want to run for college society ke president ke liye, that's fantastic, that's great, but what is the society doing? Nothing. That society is organizing Bollywood trivia quizzes. What's the use in being part of these stupid quizzes? Like, I don't look down upon what they're doing, but my question is like, how what you do is adding immediate impact in your life right now is my question. कि तुम जो भी कर रहे हो, impact कहाँ पे आ रहा है? Is my question. Like, are you doing it because you're having fun? No, they hated it. Are you doing it because you're making money? No, they didn't. No, nothing money they got out of it. Even if they got some money, the college of course came in and be like, हाँ हाँ हमारा पैसा है हम रख लेंगे. I never understood these things. And then for उसके बाद, of course, there was the part where everyone in the groups of tens used to hang out. My question was that there was no quality conversations happening. There was no in-depth passage of knowledge happening. So my idea was कि यार तुम कर क्या रहे हो exactly यहाँ पर? And I'm not a very anti-social person. While I prefer being alone or being in small groups, my question was always like that this is all is fine, but impact क्या? And people will counter me and be like कि नहीं वो मजा कर रहे थे. No, they hated it. They hated being there and they still went away with it. You know why? Because they feared missing out on college parties. They feared missing out on being part of these societies, right? So yeah, for context, I went to college for a total of maybe 6 to 10 days. 6 to 10 days, I actually went to college and wholly attended all the classes and was there.
Which college was this?
This was Delhi University Ramanujan College.
Okay.
Right. I am not a fan of my college. It's a very Pavam, it's a very nice college. It's filled with very, very good kids who come from good families, who, are, like, I don't want to sound classist, man, but you know what I'm saying? Like, these kids are what Delhi would call good crowd, but which again is a little bit classist to say. But these guys were coming from great families, but the brains were just nuts, man. Like, they were doing things for the sake of it, and that really pissed me off. That ticked me off very badly. And so yeah, that was a few trivial things.
And you did not join any other college after 10 days. You just thought that let me just drop out and let me do something of my own.
I think it was more like 10 days spread across 2 years.
Okay.
So I didn't go to college for 10 days and like, oh my god, this is bad. I waited for 1.5 years and I was there to college for 1.5 years, and my idea was like, yaar, मैं 5 दिन गया. I don't see any value abhi tak. Right? So, if I may, there was a small incident that ticked me off very badly, and I have actually made a very hilarious reel on this one, and I captured this story. So, the last day of my college, the 10th day, when I decided that this is it, I'm not going to come to college again. Not like drop out, but the day that I decided that I'm not going to college again was the 10th day that I had actually gone to college, where my professor and I had a small fight, right? Now, this is a professor of human resources.
Yeah.
My degree is Bachelor's in Management Studies, which is almost like a glorified BBA. Okay? So, Professor Thi, she was a nice professor. Everybody liked her. I don't know what she had with me, dude. I was in class, right? मैं अपना पीछे बैठा हुआ था laptop लेके. I was replying to some clients. Back then, I was doing something of my own, right? And I was not doing any internships. I had something of my own going on. And this woman notices when she screams at me from the, सामने से, and she looks me in the eye and she's like, क्या कर रहे हो तुम? I am zipped. I cannot tell her what I'm doing. Because if I do, that will be disrespectful. I respect my professors. I cannot do that. I cannot tell her कि मेरे को काम करने दे मेरा. So I'm like, ma'am, nothing, ma'am. फिर उसके बाद class खत्म होती है and she's like, Vyom, meet me. I'm like, okay. So I go out there. And my bhai Ansh baitha hai. Ansh is my college best friend. Yeah, Ansh, if you're watching this, you remember. So he was sitting here on the bench and he's like, Vyom, bro, tension na le, tu jaake usko sab kuch sach bata de. Just tell her everything in truth and she'll understand. I was like, okay. I go out ekdam timidly with my tail between my legs and my laptop in the back of my hands. She looks me in the eye with, heat scorching Delhi summer heat on my face. And she's like, what were you doing? Tell me. And she said in a very calm tone. And I tell her, ma'am, I was replying to clients. Kaun se clients? I was replying to clients of my agency. अच्छा? तुम्हें समझ नहीं आता कि तुम इस सीट पर बैठकर उसको वेस्ट कर रहे हो? And I was like, I was very taken aback. I was like, ये क्या कह रही है? Because I respect her, but if I'm showing initiative in another business, it's not good to tell me that मैं college की सीट पे बैठ के उसको waste कर रहा हूँ. Right? It's not great to dissuade a kid कि तुम useless हो, तुम निकल जाओ college से. Right? And she said कि अगर इतना ही तेको business करने का शौक है तो drop out कर लेना. That was an ultimatum. And the actual ultimatum came when she looked me in the eye and she said ki, if you want to bring this laptop in my class, do not come again. मेरे को तो लाना था laptop. So never went again. So the caveat of this whole situation was that she is a professor of human resources. And at that point of life, when this was happening, I was running an HR agency.
Oh.
And she still put me through all of that, and I never went to college uske baad. I just didn't. I didn't have it in me. Didn't make any sense. So that was the 10th day of college. That was when I decided ki, this is it. I'm not going to do this.
Got it. And this HR agency you had started back during the college, like before the college, of course, but
yes.
How was that started?
This was started. So the name of this HR agency was Sava Hire. This agency was started between me and a friend of mine. And the idea was pretty simple. I hate the fact that, people get paid less than 6 LPA, right, in tech jobs. And also the fact that people get paid less than 10,000 rupees in internships, like they're doing free internships. So the concept was that कि तुम कम पैसा क्यों दे रहे हो अच्छे talent को? मत दो ना, अच्छा पैसा दो उनको. Remote jobs लो, अच्छा पैसा दो उनको. And I was very scared that founders will not reach out to me for hiring from me. So the idea was that I'll build a community of people who are very skilled at what they do, and I'm going to allow founders to hire from us. That was the whole idea. What ended up happening was that I was scared कि कोई आएगा नहीं मेरे पास. In a span of a few months, we had thousands of people on our Discord server. Right, we have about 6,000-7,000 people sitting on our Discord, chatting like crazy, and discussing and sharing their skills with each other.
Yeah.
Back then, it wasn't a big number as such, but these were very, very skilled folks in certain fields. Right, they were folks in crypto and AI, for example. There were folks working internships in ML, and they were looking for opportunities that were paid, for example. And I resonated with them. I'm like, "Ha, yaar." And just because my first opportunity was a paid opportunity, I wanted them to get theirs too. So I helped them get theirs, and we placed, if not over 100, probably dozens of students over time, students as well as individuals over time. This agency ran for about 8 to 9 months while it was there. Great experience. And I did all this while I was still in college, and this HR professor, the whole scene was happening. So, yeah.
This was back in which year?
This was back in, I think, 2021, I believe.
Well, 2 years back.
2 years back, yeah, I would say 2 years back.
So you started your first business at the age of 17 or 18?
18, yeah.
Okay, got it.
So at the age of 18, I was like, okay, HR agency I'll run. It was very stupid, man. I realized that people pay to hire people. I was like, ye kya fund hai? And I realized that I have access to talent. I have access to founders. Let me connect them.
Yeah.
And the rule was simple. You never take a penny from the people looking to get hired, right? You just take a penny if the founders want to. We would take percentage cuts on percentage of whatever salary they were giving. We used to take percentages of that. So that was the model there.
Right.
And yeah.
Makes sense. And what happened to that agency now? So
I'll be very honest, man. I lost interest.
After that 10th day of college?
Not 10th day of college. HR agency was doing very, very well. Right? Even after the crypto ka bust happened and everything, the AI winter came, it was still going very well. But the question was that, do I want to keep doing this forever? Right? So I allowed a few well-known folks and interns that I had hired, I allowed them to wind things up so that the clients that we already had were not high and dry. And I asked myself, what is my strong suite? Right? And that turned out to be content, and I wanted to focus on that. So I just switched paths, and I'm like, I don't want to do or spend a single bit of my time on something that I don't like doing.
Yeah.
And to be fairly honest, I didn't enjoy running an HR agency. It was too stressful. It was very, very stressful trying to manage people. It's best if the less people you have, the easier it is to manage things. The easier, the less stressful it is what I realized back then.
How big was the team back then?
We peaked at 8 people.
Okay.
But it wasn't about the team size. The team was very, very fluent. The team was great and everything, right? But the problem with that was that you were constantly dealing with founders. You were constantly dealing with other students, and humans have this intrinsic need of being different.
Yeah.
So you cannot have an SOP for these things. People will be different har jagah par. Founders are different. The students you're dealing with different. The people looking for jobs are different. So that was the issue back then.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah. I think I can resonate to you quite well here when you say that this is something which you didn't like, and content was something that you were very passionate about. So when I was quitting my job, I think similar thing happened with me. That of course, like the people over there were very nice. The work profile was extremely nice. Like people who work in a venture capital fund are like, okay, they're like, he's working in one of the most cream departments of finance, because in finance there are like either investment banking, private equity, venture capital. These three are like considered as the most lucrative jobs in terms of pay, in terms of work profile and all. But to be honest with you, even I thought I was not enjoying that much. I mean, I was working for someone else, but working for 12, 14 hours a day for someone else was not making me happy. And at the same time, I started content creation, and that was something which really intrigued me in order to give back to the society, in order to just understand and come up with some new ideas. That used to give me like a sense of freedom, or maybe a sense of thinking that what you should do next, or maybe what you should come up, what should be the next idea, which was not happening in the day-to-day job. So when you say that, like even you quit that for like something passionate, I think I can resonate to you quite well. This is something which happens with almost most of the people, like finding their passion after a point in time and quitting something which they don't like, and then finally doing that full time. So that is something which even happened with me.
It doesn't make sense to, do things for the sake of it. It doesn't make sense to do things if you're not being paid, if you're not learning, then why are you doing it? And that is actually the reality of Indian society. It's like, I might be overgeneralizing this one, but the reality is that a lot of people that you'll find are not in well-paid jobs, right? They hate their jobs and they're not learning anything from it. Why are they here? Responsibilities. I would say I'm insanely privileged. I don't have to, pay my parents ka rehna kharcha. They are well off enough to pay for themselves, right? So at the age of 20, I can go on and I can experiment in life.
Yeah.
And the second part would be that people are stuck in these constant loops of society क्या सोचेगी, अगर मैं ये करूंगा तो पापा मम्मी क्या सोचेंगे, अगर मैं वो करूंगा तो मेरा हस्बैंड क्या सोचेगा, या मेरे माँ बाप क्या सोचेंगे. This is a constant loop that people are stuck in right now, and that's just the truth, man. That's just how society operates. We are status driven folks, right?
How do you change this?
It's, well, you have to, tell an entire generation that it's okay to rebel. यार, and Indian society में rebelling क्या होता है? You go to US and you like rebel. वो कहेगा अच्छा क्या आग लगाने किसी घर पे? That's rebelling for them, right? It's like you want to go and you want to set a house on fire. That's rebelling. In Indian society, rebelling is like भाई मैं 11 बजे घर आ जाऊँ पापा मम्मा, right? Or telling your or like saying to your I don't know, man, like telling your professor ki, is it okay if I bring my laptop in class and take notes on a laptop instead of pen and paper?
Yeah.
That's, these little things are rebelling, and it's stupid, man, because we're constantly taught to respect our elders, which makes a lot of sense. But we have to also teach ourselves ki it's not always that the archaic rules that were put up by them are right.
Yeah.
Old is gold, sure, but is it still relevant? And we have to normalize these little things like I mean I understand that India is still in a space where like not all cities are super safe. Like let's say Mumbai is fairly safe, right? I come from Delhi, so I can say Mumbai is very safe, right? I understand कि night outs में हो जाएगा, but yet most of the women that you'll meet, they're not allowed to go out of their houses after 7 p.m. man. And we're talking about financial independence, fire movement, ये सब वो. We constantly forget the fact that we are still status driven, respect driven folks, and we don't want to, destroy our parents' honor. So we listen to them. उनकी जायदाद चाहिए तो उनसे nicely बात करना पड़ेगा, so on and so forth. You have to maintain relations with your family. While I definitely am a family guy, I'm just against, maintaining those old ass rules is my issue with it.
Yeah.
And rebelling little by little is the way to go forward.
Yeah.
Is what I feel.
Yeah, makes sense. I think rebelling is something which is like very subjective, or like it's very different from person to person, to be honest.
Totally.
Like one person might feel that rebelling against their parents or just stating their point of view might sound disrespectful, while others would feel at the same time that okay, I should do this because that's going to be helpful for my future, and that's the best way to make them understand. I think that is something which is very personal, is what I feel, and that is something which is again not coming to everyone, or maybe there are people, like even if you take my example, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when I was deciding to quit my job, and I was very scared that should I tell my parents, how do I tell them that I'm going to quit my job, or should I, like, of course I asked them, is it okay if I quit my job, something of that sort. There might be some other people who are saying that okay, I've decided I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to tell them that okay, I'm focused on something else, I want to do something else, and I'm going to just be very blunt and very straightforward. So I think these are two kinds of people, but again, makes sense that the more you rebel, or maybe the more you put forward your point of view, that is ultimately going to help you in your life ahead.
Yeah, it's. I agree with you. Totally agree with you. It's like जब एक बच्चा रो रहा होता है, उसके पेरेंट्स को उस पे चीखते कि चुप हो जा, फिर वो और रोने लगता है. Until he realizes that अगर मैं उनके चीखने पे और रोऊंगा, तो मेरे को और चीख सुनाई देगी. So instead, it's like I have to shut up. Early on, we're told, and this is North Indian specific, or this could be overgeneralized, I don't know. I have been born and brought up in Delhi, okay, near Delhi. So I'm almost like a North Indian kid, right? So we're born and brought up in a society where we're told to keep our mouths shut and not have serious conversations about money, sex, life forward. यार तुम 16 साल के बच्चे को जाके बोलोगे कि भाई काम करिए, फॉर्म दिख रहा है देखो, इस पे नॉन मेड, मेड, बीकॉम, नॉन मेड, मेड एंड कॉमर्स है, 3 में से एक चूज कर, do it for life. That's so fucked up, man. That's so messed up. How can you expect a 16-year-old to make life decisions?
Yeah.
It's so obviously stupid. And we're okay with it. It's like 16 साल का बच्चा शादी में आता है, वो अपना गोलगप्पे ठूस रहा है, आंटी साइड में से घुसेगी एंड आंटी बोले बेटा क्या सोचा लाइफ का? आंटी मैं 17 साल का हूँ. नहीं, आंटी इज लाइक नहीं, अभी तेरा उसका फॉर्म निकला, मैंने देखा तेरी मम्मी मेरे से बात कर रही थी, तूने क्या चूज करा है? कॉमर्स करा है ना, सीए करेगा ना, हम सबकी तरह सीए बनेगा ना. एंड यू नो व्हाट, peer pressure comes super duper late in life. Starting में it's always family का pressure because हमें honor रखना है. Because ये Southeast Asian thing है यार कि we have to keep honor of the family. That we have to keep our caste and we have to keep our, you know, society में जो हमारा small circle है for खानदान, we have to keep these guys proud. And to keep these guys proud, you have to follow a couple of rules. One, do what everyone in the family is doing. Two, marry in the same caste. That's what we are taught. My girlfriend is from Andhra. So I don't know how my parents will react to that, right?
Do they know about it?
My mother knows about it. She's pretty chill about it, right? Does she know that I'm very serious about her? I don't think so. But she'll eventually know about it.
She'll know after watching this video.
Yeah, after like, mummy ko to pata hai, almost pata hai. But when she comes to Bangalore, she meets Mrinalini and so on and so forth. She'll have an understanding of that. Mrinalini, if you're watching it, anyway. So these two things, and what ends up happening is that कि हम फिर अंदर ही अंदर अपनी बातों कूट के बैठ जाते हैं. We don't talk about these things. We don't have tough conversations.
Yeah.
And then later on in life, we blame our parents, or we blame society, or we you know, we drink alcohol. हम अपना दारू का एक मस्त एक shot बना रहे हैं अपने दोस्तों के साथ, and we're discussing all the regrets we have in life, and then we're chugging it. And I'm not saying it from my perspective, okay? I'm probably not there yet in life. But I'm talking about people that I spend time with because I'm surrounded by adults constantly who are double my age or triple my age. I'm surrounded by these people, right? And they have that regret in their lives. I'm surrounded by my own family members who are older than me but still choose to spend time with me. And they're passing on these regrets to me and telling me कि यार व्योम, अच्छा है तूने कॉलेज छोड़ दिया, पूरा कॉलेज मैंने वेस्ट करा है केमिकल इंजीनियरिंग में. चाचू ने केमिकल इंजीनियरिंग करा. What is he doing? He's a proper big corporate bro. All because he chose to not stay in chemical engineering. You know what he works in? He works in biotech. These are two separate poles.
Yeah.
And he never had that, you know, tough conversation with everyone. Anyone actually. He just had it with his big brother, which is my father, and that was it. But he chose to have that, you know, tough conversation कि भैया मेरे को ये करने का लग रहा है, मैं कर लूँ ना? What do you think about it? He was not looking for permission. He was looking for my father's respect, for example, right? And both of these guys have done fairly well in life, is what I feel. Just because they had that fair, you know, that tough conversation from people that they respected.
Yeah.
So it's fine to respect people, and it's fine to look for, you know, validation and respect from family, but there's a limit to it. अगर समझ लो कि तुम्हें पता है कि पापा मम्मी बोलेंगे कि नहीं करना थे कोई ये कि you cannot drop out of college, first ask if it's like a viable plan or not. Don't just randomly drop out. Don't just randomly, you know, elope and marry someone. But like the question is कि if they will say no and you see no consequence of them saying no and you doing it anyway, then do it anyway. बाद में यार sorry बोल देना. That's also one way to go about it. But we're too scared to lose that relationship.
Yeah.
Don't lose that relationship. You have to have that tough conversation to save that relationship.
Correct.
And also to save your life. So,
makes sense. That's very well put out. Let's go back to your 10th day story. Now tell me one thing. Now you decided you're going to quit your college.
Yeah.
And you're like, कि अभी मेरे को तो नहीं करना है. What happened after that? Why did you not think of joining another college? And how was the life after that? Like after the 10th, like from 11th day onwards?
11th day onwards, I did not sign into MS Teams anymore. 11th day onwards, I had never checked my college group. On the 15th day, on the 5 days later after quitting, you know, so-called not going to college, I decided I'm going to quit my WhatsApp group of my college guys because my brain was fried with them talking. So I quit that group. And I started working on my HR agency. Agency did well, good money. But then uske baad my idea was like, ठीक है, this money is fine, but like, what do I do with this? I don't like doing it, so let me just shut it down. Us time par bhi I associated my, my self-worth with the money I made. And I had to fix that. So I told myself, 3 months, you make no money, you fuck around, you experiment, that's it. Right? And I was making 6 figures a month, if that's helpful. Right? I was 18 years old, making so much money, and I was like, kya karoon? So I was like, cool, let's just shut this down. And then for baad, I go out there and I'm like, and 6 figures a month, now that I look back in retrospect, it's not a lot. Right? But for an 18-year-old, a few lakhs of rupees was a lot of money.
Yeah, of course. I mean, even
Crazy
if
money.
3-4 lakhs a month, that's a good amount of
Crazy money back then, right? Up to, I mean, it doesn't look that much. It's like, yeah, money is there. But like, so उसके बाद I asked myself कि चलो एक काम करते हैं, AI से कुछ करते हैं. मैंने कोशिश करा, कुछ भी नहीं बना. Got my hands burned, spent 3 months doing nothing. Then उसके बाद I'm like, okay, what else do I like to do? Content I love. I love writing on LinkedIn. Can I do it for others? Yes, you can. In the span of 3 months, I basically scaled an agency. And this was 2022, right? This is like H agency ran into 2022 while I shut it down. It was, I think, July or August ka time. And around July only, I started another agency, a content agency, and my goal was simple. I am going to fuck around and I'm going to, basically write LinkedIn posts for these founders, these celebrity guys, and I started writing for them. The agency, I don't know, man. People just liked their work so much that they just kept reaching out and so on and so forth, kept on happening. I was creating content for myself and I had made it very public. Ki, guys, this is a company. And I was very much into the idea of building narratives through just writing on LinkedIn, for example. And I did that, and I'm very, very honest about it. Ki, yeah, I did ghostwriting on LinkedIn for a little bit to further get into these mind of these founders. Like, I want to spend time with them, but I had no idea how to get into their minds. So I chose this content writing thing to do that. I helped them in several other arenas of their lives in terms of copywriting. I helped them out with that. And that's when I had a team of 2 other people, 3 people. And the revenue was going to hit 7 figures in November. I'm like, what? Now, what do I do with this money is my question. 7 figures is crazy, man, for a fucking 20-year-old is my question. And I was like, मैं क्या करूँगा पैसे का? I have no idea. I don't even have a GST, dude. And this money enters in my bank account, I'm fucked. Right? Because income tax guys, when the return is filed, they'll be like, paisa kahan se aa raha hai? I'll show them the invoices, but the invoices are so scattered, they're not properly managed. I don't have a CA, nothing is there. I'm confused and I'm panicking. I knew that copywriting is a great, very nice business to be in, very lucrative, a lot of money can be made there, but I was like, meko nahi karna hai ye. Like, I would like to keep continuing, but I don't want to continue in agent setting, particularly because these posts go viral. These companies do so well from the posts that are going viral. My content that my team has written for them is going viral, but I'm not able to capture the value that these guys are capturing. Samajh lo that I sell Red Bull, right? I am the owner of Red Bull. Vyom writes a piece of content for me about Red Bull that goes viral. I sell 1,000 Red Bulls. Now, 1,000 Red Bulls का मेरे को तो कट नहीं मिला ना यार. चाहे पोस्ट मैंने लिखा हो मेरी वजह से वायरल गया है, but मेरे को कट नहीं मिला, and that was my issue with it. So that was the time when Mr. Priyadarshan Banjan came into the picture. Now, Priyadarshan Banjan is my co-founder. Tal64 already had existed before as a growth agency, and it was very crystal clear on the path these guys were on, right? So Priyadarshan Banjan started Tal64 with 10,000 rupees as an agency, invested in the website and an intern, and the idea was pretty simple. He wanted to build a place where we can invest in companies from the money we make from the service side. As simple as that. And we can also help these companies grow with the skill sets that we have. He was on to it. He saw what I was doing. He was very interested in what we were up to. He had fairly scaled the agency back then, but it was doing fairly well. And the idea was like, he told me simple, ki Vyom ek kaam kar, sell your agency to me. I'm raising money for Tal64. I'm like, okay, what do I do? Not sell ka baat nahi hua tha tab tak, but it was more like, let's do a share swap. You own a piece of Tal64, I own a piece of your agency. This kept on happening until he one day asked me, I still remember the table in WeWork Galaxy in Bangalore, MG Road, Residency Road. He went like, become a co-founder. He's a 29-year-old with probably the greatest connections in the industry when it comes to that in Bangalore. Very well connected guy, and he is asking a 20-year-old to become his co-founder. I'm like, bro, you're stupid. Tu pagal hai. And he's like, trust me on this. I think that was probably one of the best decisions I made. I sold the agency. I joined him as a co-founder, and we merged the teams. And it was no longer about the money anymore. It was about doing shit. Since then, I think like we've done we've pulled off some very crazy shit in terms of how do you get people's attentions? How do you take a brand from zero to something? How do you become from a bunch of nobodies to basically being allowed to be part of these massive, huge companies who want to give you a piece of themselves for your skill sets. We got to that point, and in total, we both together invested 17,000 rupees into Tal64 in the last 2 years, and Tal64 grew into the thing that it is today from those 17,000 rupees. So yeah, that has been my journey so far. Tal64 right now owns minority stakes in several companies, and we help them grow. And I think we have a service site that focuses on working with celebrities and cricketers and public companies. We have a separate service site that looks at that. Also funds and fund managers. Our goal is largely marketing and branding is what we focus on. And there's a separate team that looks at the co-owned brands we have, performance marketing team, and the finance team is there. That is there.
How big is the team right now?
Right now, it's 25 people.
Got it.
So we have 25 odd people working with us right now. We're hiring on a weekly basis. We're looking to add people to our senior management and so on and so forth. So yeah, last December we raised our first round. It was an undisclosed amount, and we got some very cool folks to join us as our investors. And from there on, the journey has been crazy. And that's the sole reason I'm here in Mumbai today right now is because Tal64 ka scene hai yahan pe. So yeah.
You have your offices in Bombay as well?
Yeah, we have our office in Lower Parel, in Urmi Estate.
Got it.
So, yeah.
And one in Bangalore?
We used to have a space in WeWork Galaxy, but we eventually kind of ditched it. We were like, okay, we'll just work remotely or in Mumbai. So yeah, that's the thing.
Got it. Tell me one thing, what would you advise all the 20-year-old kids who are scared to take a plunge in entrepreneurship or who are just scared to do something very different? And how did you overcome the fear of failure?
I think the best way to kind of answer this question is one line. What do you have to lose? Plunge into entrepreneurship sounds like, Vyom, can you cut a finger and give it to me? I have a finger to lose. If you be like, Vyom, before you start this company, you have to cut your hand and give it to me. Okay. And Vyom, if this startup does not work, you'll have to cut another, which sounds very goryful to be fairly honest. Cut one more finger and give it to me. But the whole point of this is, what do you have to lose? Kushal isn't asking you to cut your body parts and give it to him if in case the startup does not work. Your parents aren't saying that we disowned you because your startup nahi chala. No one is cursing at you and saying that if this startup does not work or if this crazy ideas of yours does not work, tum khatam bhai, khatam zindagi, nothing is left, you're dead. Nothing, no one's saying that. So it's almost like this fake fear in mind that we have, if this does not work, I am effed. And that's a very sad thing. Because when you Kushal, like right now, we are at Kushal's place, but right now when you go downstairs, this is probably the 22nd floor. When you go to the ground floor, you go outside of this building, you walk straight 100 meters, and you take a left from the red light, you'll find this gray area, this gray slab of footpath, where a lot of people, almost 7 to 9 people sleep at night, right? At the risk of being crumbled by a truck driver who's a little bit drunk. They sleep every night and they have their lives to lose, right? And I'm asking you again, to the person, that 20-year-old watching this video, what do you have to lose? If you make a different decision, if you choose to, let's say, not do college and you choose to take a gap year, if you choose to go out there and you choose to start an agency and nahi chala, what do you have to lose? It's almost like our egos telling us ki I cannot hear a no.
Yeah.
I cannot hear that, oh my God, you failed at it, bro. We are so scared of hearing no's ki we are shitting ourselves in our pants and telling ourselves ki nahi, I can't do this. That's my issue.
How do you handle rejections?
You forget about it.
How do you forget about it?
You basically, someone saying no to you, and there are two options. One, that person has feedback to give. Please give me feedback. I have no feedback. You go back. You forget about it. That person said no because they were in a different position than you to say yes to. Most of the folks during my time running Chat, which was the content agency that I ran and sold, my idea was like, here, if a client says no to me, the client cannot afford me. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I am fucking good at what I do. You cannot find people better than me, was what I told myself every morning. And I had to live up to that. If the quality was a little bit down, it is on me. I have to fix that. Right? So you build this self-confidence. And when someone tells no to you, you empathize, you take feedback, you inculcate that feedback and you move on. And of course, there are a lot of tips and tricks on how to run an agency, how to, sell to clients and everything and so on and so forth. But my core idea would be that if a lot of people are saying the same thing, you probably need to fix it. Right? If 3 out of 5 people are saying the same thing to you, please fix it for God's sake. If one person says that, uses a C word to me, or says that, Vyom, you're a very bad guy. Like, how? I'll feel hurt. I'll move on. Because he's the only one out of 100 people who are telling me that. Right? If someone in my comments say that I'm a fake person, bro, 250 comments mein se you're like one person telling me I am a fake person. Am I a fake person? Yes, I am. Sahi baat bola. So that's the concept. You have nothing to lose. It's your ego telling you, okay, I cannot hear a no. That leads to people not taking the plunge, leads to people, succumbing under fear of family, fear of society, and so on and so forth. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's more on the lens of handling that kind of a no, or maybe owning the courage to having the courage to own the failure. I think that is more important as compared to having the courage to own the success, because that is something which everyone's going to own. And what I feel is like when you fail, right, society is going to blame you for your failure. However, if you succeed, society will be like कि देख मैंने तो बोला था यार ये हमेशा इतनी मेहनत करता था, मैंने तो इसकी मदद भी की थी, ये देख मेरी वजह से successful हुआ. Everyone in not in our country, but everyone everywhere else, like the concept is if you're successful, there'll be bunch of people who would want to take credit for your success. If you fail, there will be only a handful of them, or maybe not even one of them, who would like to take the blame of that failure. They'll be like, अरे ये तो हमेशा टाइम पास करता था, हमेशा सोशल मीडिया पे चैटिंग करता था, ये तो टाइम पास करता था, तो ये तो पास होने ही नहीं वाला था एग्जाम में, या तो ये फोकस था ही नहीं, कभी ये सक्सेसफुल होने ही नहीं वाला था. So there are like these n number of people who are going to blame you at the end of the day if you fail. So I think if this gets changed, where there are people who are coming to take the blame also for your failure, then I think the people who want to take a plunge or take a risk, that'll be easier for them, which is not happening in my opinion.
I still find it very weird when people comment, let's say, I am proud of you, or and I do get these very supportive comments. I'm very grateful for them. By the bottom of my heart, I'm very grateful for the comments. I'm, let's say, getting on a reel where I met about 100 people when we did a small meetup here in Zane's Cafe. Shout out to Zane's Cafe. Yeah. And a lot of people came and it was very fun, right? And people are saying, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, okay, moves on. I'm grateful. I'm not being a dick here.
Yeah.
But my question is, if you, not my question, but my proposition here is that if you cannot hear the taliyan, you can also not hear the naysayers. अगर कोई गाली दे रहा है, that's the saying, right? अगर तुम गालियां और तालियां इन दोनों में से किसी को भी नहीं सुनोगे, you're on the right path, man.
You are
on the right path, man. Because you're so stoically focused on the goal in front of you that you don't care if someone, throws mitti at you, someone, showers you with flowers. It's balanced out. Like you don't care about it.
Yeah.
You respect it. You are grateful for it. You say thank you to people and you move on. That's the thing, man. You're just stoic. You don't care about these little caveats of life. And people will meet you and they'll be like, yaar, tu kya boring banda hai, yaar. You don't even enjoy life. I enjoy life by being fulfilled.
Yeah.
I enjoy life by feeling like waking up every morning and not feeling crushing stress or feeling like, this feeling of running out of time. Because I know मैं कल भी कर सकता हूँ ये काम, but I need to be in the right space to do it.
Yeah.
And I know that I am also capable of working 20 hours a day. When you tell yourself that, it's good. Life is great. So yeah.
Has there been any turning point in your life in the last 20 years which has made you the person you are today, or maybe which has helped you in order to take risks in life at an early age or experiment at an early age? Has there been a turning point which is really, that incident really changed your perspective, the way you look towards life?
I think the Professor Wala incident.
Okay.
that from that point I stopped pleasing people.
Hmm.
I was no longer in the business. So the event I'm referring to is this event where like my my friend who said that, Vyom, just be nice to this professor who is going to scold you outside of the class for using your laptop in the class. Just be nice to her. She'll and tell her honestly of what you do, and she'll be like, it's okay, it's all right. Just because she was unable to understand was like the moment when I realized ki, okay, the system is pretty fucked. That was my realization that these professors, and that was also, very funny. Like, agar main HR agency chala raha hu, which it's not that big of an HR agency, but if it's still doing well, right? I can probably hire a professor and pay her lakh rupees a month to work with me, right? If she looks me in the eye and tells me that I'm a piece of shit and I'm useless, my question to her is that, you teaching me HR, but have you hired someone?
Yeah.
Answer do na meko. And if she has no answer, then I have my answer against the system that it's fucked up, it's messed up.
Yeah.
That was my reaction. Ki I'm not going to please people from now on. I'm going to go out there, be authentic to people. If they have an issue with me, I'll understand, I'll apologize to them, and I'll move on in life. It's simple. I don't want to be a dick. I just want to be honest. I want to be authentic to them. That's my goal.
I wish I had this kind of guts when I was 20, but yeah, I mean, kudos to you. Tell me one thing about content piece. How did you get into content creation? And secondly, how do you come up with these unique, innovative ideas each and every time? I mean, when I watch your reels on Instagram, it's like very, very relatable. I can resonate to each and every word of the reel that you have mentioned. And it's like every reel is unique, or every topic is something very different. It's not repetitive, which is the case with a lot of creators, because they're not able to come up with some new content ideas, which even happens with me nowadays, to be honest. Like, there are times when I also try to repeat my content which I posted 1 year back or 1.5 years back. So how do you come up with these ideas? How do you get into content? What's the content journey been like for you?
I think the content journey for me has been fairly simple. I started writing on LinkedIn. I built an audience of uncles there. And after LinkedIn, I realized that I can now go on, basically, just post screenshots of these on my Instagram. People were liking it, and I was like, can I make a reel? Let's try it. Made the first reel, it blew up, it went bonkers. And
what was it about?
It was about me leaving my house. Actually, 2 days back was the anniversary of me leaving my parents' home, right? And that was the point, man, where like I realized, okay, this reel blew up. I can probably create more pieces of content, right? So it's a lot more about, like everyone says, Vyom, you have to create a lot more content to do very well. Like, do I need to do well? Yeah. These guys will not pay you a lot for influencer marketing, and these guys will not pay you lakh rupees per reel for ads. Fine. I don't want to do sponsored reels. Okay. But Vyom, to samajh nahi raha. You have to get to 1 million followers or 100,000 followers. Yeah, but I don't care, man. I'm not in this for numbers. I'm in this for the community. I'm in this for the people who are watching me right now. And that kind of drives my ideas. If I'm feeding the same piece of information to them again and again, it's boring. Like, it's almost like I've set the bar too high for my own self. There are multiple videos that I posted and I deleted after exactly 30 seconds because I hated it.
So why did you record it, or why did you upload it?
I uploaded and I made it, like, actually made a proper reel. I upload it, 2 minutes, 30 seconds later, I'm like, I don't like it. Delete. Why? Because I have set the bar too high, where like I cannot repeat ideas. I just can't do that. I'm sorry. I cannot be the same person again and again. I have to reinvent myself in every reel is my task. And it's a very simple bet I kept with myself. Ki, yaar, everyone wants, all these numbers and shit. I just want to, have fun. I want to like what I do, otherwise I will not do it. That's a lot to say, come out from a 20-year-old mouth, right? Okay, how do you decide to do what you want in life at such a young age? It's simple, you have to be good at it. It's very simple. So you build a conviction in yourself. Even if I take 7 days to shoot this thing, and I post it after 7 days, it needs to be the best thing ever. And 1 million people need to see this. That's the idea I have in mind. I make things for, pretty much okay with saying that I make things for everyone. people of all ages to be able to watch it, right? I make things relatable ideas and I try to explore them from various angles. I try my best to shoot most of the footage myself, right? I edit my own things. I don't have an editor as such. Uh, Generally, we have Aditro. Aditro is my guy. Aditro is basically one of my colleagues. He helps me shoot videos sometimes because he's a videographer. He's amazing at what he does. He's insanely good at handling cameras and being Aditro. Uh, but the idea is pretty simple, man. Like I want to reinvent myself every single time. And if I repeat the same idea twice, I am probably fried. I have probably broken my own promise to myself. And it's almost like I tend to I tend to run these things like with my girlfriend, and I tend to show her, and she tells me very honestly, Vyom, it looks like you have a stick up your ass. Please, it's not a great video. Understood. It shouldn't go out. So I have these few people I just share my videos with before posting, and I take their opinions because they're able to, these people have known me for a very long time, and they understand me, and they can tell me, Vyom, this is not you. Do not post this. Engagement को मिल जाएगा वैसे भी तो क्यों post कर रहा है इसको? So that's why the difference you might see in each of these videos that the style is different or the angle is different or I'm in a completely different setting while shooting it. So yeah.
And how do you come up with the script of the content?
In my mind, I for example, it's almost like you keep on imagining very harsh scenarios.
Can you give an example and what was the outcome?
Let's say that right now, I'll come up with an impromptu idea.
Yeah.
The idea is we were talking about the topic of being scared of things, right?
Yeah.
Being scared of very stupid small rejections and decisions, right? Now, while I'm talking to you, I already imagined the script. Now, this is the script that will start right now. While talking to Kushal, Vyom realized that it's Kushal, right?
Yeah.
Vyom realized that Kushal is very scared of his startup not working out. Vyom realized this, so he jumped up, he opened up the window, and he dragged Kushal to the window with his head hanging outside of it. And he told them that, are you still scared of your startup not working out? And Kushal screamed and tried to grab Vyom's eyes, saying, Kya kar raha hai bhai? Kya kar raha hai bhai? And all this while, and all this is being shot from the side wala window, right? And suddenly, Kushal is unable to overpower Vyom, so he gives up and he's like, Vyom, I promise you this startup will work. I promise you the startup will work. So Vyom takes back Kushal and Kushal snaps back into reality and Kushal realizes that he was in a dream. And he realizes that no one will kill me if the startup does not work. Wow, that's fantastic. I am now able to fail. Now these things.
Wow.
These things
this
are
was
like,
impressive. Yeah, this was impressive.
I can imagine things, I can imagine very extreme scenarios. And it's very easy for me to come up with them on the spot.
Wow.
Because I'm constantly thinking about, will it be funny if I just hang around and do pull-ups there outside of the window? If I fall, I'll just... It's almost like imagine doing pull-ups from a high-rise building. And it's like, agar main ye pull-up complete nahi kara, I'll just fall to my death. So a lot of people think of life like that, right? Now this is like taking a very small motto, like, hey, like I can just post a screenshot of a tweet saying that you don't have anything to lose if this does not work out, do not worry. Or you could make this video.
Yeah, man.
I would much rather make this video.
Yeah. I wish Aditya was here. I would have definitely loved to have shot this video. I can imagine myself in that window and you can just shoot it like
and
there are like 22 floors above.
I'm just being like कि 22 floor से गिरेगा. तेरा कान छोड़ तेरा सर नहीं बचने वाला. And that's when Kushal realizes and he snaps back to reality and he's like, I'll be okay if the startup works. मैं मरने नहीं वाला. And then Kushal goes on with his life and he's just a little bit happier. Just because he was having a nightmare of Vyom killing him earlier. So these little things.
Right. I can see you becoming like a, these creative, what do you call them? Like in every media company or in every creative houses and all, there are like some creative heads or maybe, like the chief marketing officer who are extremely creative. Like something of that sort where the person is hands-on, like he knows about the creativity, he knows about the shit that he's talking about and all. So of course, like you're the founder of your own company and agency, but I'm sure like the creativity aspect is something that differentiates you, and that is the USP as compared to anyone else. Because I know, like for example, the two ways of making this out, like the two ways of putting this out. One is that on Twitter, as you said, on LinkedIn, ki kuch nahi hoga, everything will be fine in your life. You're not going to lose anything. And second way of doing this, the video which you mentioned, this is something which is very creative. And although the message is same, which you're giving in both the types of content, people are going to love the second one, irrespective of the fact that the message is going to be the same. This is what differentiates you. And the question here, which I wanted to ask, is how much time did it take for you to come at a stage where you can be as innovative or as unique as possible? Because this is something which is very unique with person to person. I can't be that innovative or creative. There are some people who can be more creative than you. How much time did it take for you? Is creativity something which is inborn, or can it be learned over time? Is a question which I wanted to ask.
I just daydream a lot. So I think it's a lot more like from early childhood only. I just daydream all the time, man. And people will tell you that ki are teko ADHD hai. People go like ki are nahi, you know, this is a bad thing to have. You know, you get zoned out very easily or very tiny attention spans. I'm working on that, yes. Not proud of it, yes. But that allows me to, you know, come up with these ideas, which is a good thing, in my personal opinion.
So why do you want to work on it? I mean, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So why do you want to work on it? I mean, what's bad about that?
Because focus is the currency of the 21st century.
Yeah.
We talk about these things, right? We talk about ki data is the new currency. Data kahan se aata hai? Your lack of attention gives companies the data that is being processed by them to further capture your attention in small chunks of time. I'm saying if you're able to not give them that power to collect data by just focusing on one thing, let's say read a book, let's say watch a 3-hour long video, क्या data points collect कर पाओगे अगर तुम 3 घंटे एक वीडियो को watch करोगे? What are the data points you're collecting? How do you think movie producers are able to collect data points? No, they're not, because you're sitting in a cinema hall watching the movie. They cannot track jack shit. That's why focus is the currency of 21st century, and you have to be good at it. If you're not good at focusing, it's going to be a very tough and long ride, because you will not be good at anything. You will be a generalist who does everything. I don't think that's a good idea. You should be good at one thing. You should be better at it than anyone. Is my idea.
So you don't believe in multitasking at all?
I don't believe in multitasking. I don't believe in being a generalist. I think specialists are the folks who rule the world. Of course, generalists is like, if you ask me tomorrow, कि यार Vyom manage करना है agency को कर ये कर, you have to hire people, Vyom ये भी कर, you'll be like कि अच्छा Vyom अब ना हमें घर भी साफ करना है, चल करते हैं. I can do all of these things, but I will only do one thing at once.
Yeah, makes sense. What's the weirdest thing you've done in your life?
Organized a meetup and got 100 people in the tiniest space possible.
How was that experience? How did you plan? How was it for you?
Fuck, it was crazy. The moment I entered, right, I looked at everyone and I had just goosebumps down my spine.
So like, everyone was present before you entered?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the time of the meetup?
7 p.m.
And what time did you reach?
7:15.
Okay. And all 100 folks were there?
Exactly 7 p.m. Everyone was there.
Okay.
People started coming at 6 p.m. It got filled up at 7. And I didn't say ki bhai 6 baje aana. I told them ki guys come at 7.
Yeah.
7
How did you put it? Like on your socials, on Insta?
I put on my story. I'm like, bhai, aajana. And I did a carousel of me just looking outside of the window. That was it. With a slide karoge, to there is a meetup ka invitation. Okay. That's it.
On your Instagram?
Yeah, and I had a WhatsApp group and registration form. Like there was a registration form after which you got the WhatsApp group ka link. 340 people registered. Okay. Out of which 1/3 showed up. So pretty good. Like I have 340 people I can now do prank calls to. So very fun.
That's a good way to put it out. And tell me one thing. So what was the agenda of the meetup? What did you discuss? What did you do? Why did these people show up? What was in it for them?
First rule of Vyomity, you don't discuss about the community.
Okay.
You don't discuss what goes inside of the community. Okay. That's rule number 1. That's why you will not find any videos out there about it.
How can I be a part of this community?
You have to come to the meetup.
Okay.
You have to come to, and this sounds very funny when I say it out loud, but you have to come out to a Vyom meetup in one of the cities that we do it in, to scan a QR code to be part of the community, which is basically a Slack channel.
Okay.
Right. Otherwise, there is no other way that you can come inside of it.
Got it.
Right. And in order for you to, let's say that in order for you to be part of this, like what goes inside of this community is something that we want to keep inside of it. Bro, I don't want to do masterclass. I don't want to do courses. I respect the people who do it, but do I want to monetize this community or do I want to get these guys to pay for anything? No, absolutely not. I'm happy to look for ways to fund this thing. Just because we are so tight and we are monkeys. We follow what we do. We have principles and everything, and it's not almost like ki it's a group, it's a community, and it's a group. It's still forming in its existence. The WhatsApp group, people are constantly talking about things, and we are still figuring out the next steps around alongside of it. But we want to better ourselves. We want to be better men. We want to be better humans. We want to be folks who have an understanding that we're fucked in the long run. Rents are rising, prices are rising. We'll probably never own a house of our own. We'll always rent, and major chunk of wealth would be owned by our parents or older generations who have it captured within themselves. मुझे 70 साल wait नहीं करना है to get जायदाद. I don't want it. I want to make my own जायदाद. So that's what I will do. I will make my own जायदाद now. That's what we're working towards. Hustle up, figure ways to make money, work collectively, work as a collective. You want to sell something? Find the drop shipping guy, find the digital marketing guy. There you have the copywriter. Club together. Don't think about money. First make money, and then we'll figure out what to do with it. All this while these are experiments.
Has moving out of your parents' house at the age of 19 helped you in order to become so courageous?
I wouldn't say I'm courageous because I have nothing to lose. So that doesn't really add value to my courage.
Alright, let me put it differently. What have you learned after moving out of your parents' house at the age of 19?
The world is a very tough place.
Yeah.
You cannot, that I used to live in a bubble. Right? I used to live in a proper bubble. Right? And that's the thing, man. That's how I feel about things. I went out of the bubble, I got a reality check, and I realized there's a lot more to life than just college and school, than just your friends. There is money to be made. There is an apartment to be taken care of. There are going to be, people that you meet time to time that you want to meet and, be in touch with. People you want to build connections with. So I think like college is a bubble, and getting out of that was a good decision. Parents ka house allows you to set, leaving your parents' place allows you to set financial goals. That's the way forward. Set financial goals. If you eat from your parents, if you live with them, if you drive their cars, tough for you to say that 20 साल के बाद तुम्हारा financial goal clear हो जाएगा. Way tough. You might still be driving your father's SUV. You might have inherited it by now.
Yeah.
But was that worth it? Waiting for 20 years to finally own something. Come on.
Are you financially independent now?
From my parents?
Yeah.
I never took a single penny from my parents after I left their house.
Okay.
Never took a penny. I paid my second year of college fees. Third year I didn't pay because I didn't find it worth it.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys, you fuck off. College, bye. Sorry. That was my idea. Respectfully, the college again is a great institution. Just not for me. I just don't see a lot of value being there. I just don't see a lot of value, being there for 3 years and getting paid 4 lakhs a year. Doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I've been like, I haven't taken a single penny from my parents in a very, very long time. Probably when I was 18 years old when I left the house, that was it.
Your parents are proud of you.
I can say that, but it feels awkward when people say that out loud. It just feels very awkward to me. It's like, thank you, kind of situation. I'm very grateful for you, but I feel very awkward when receiving compliments.
Yeah, you mentioned that there were people who were saying they're proud of you at the Zane's meetup as well.
The Zane's meetup, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, right. So, and one thing which I wanted to ask was, has there been like a moment where you failed in your life, and how did you tackle that failure? Like, what was the worst phase in your life, and you were like, I'm dead now. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to do better.
A person I respect a lot, a person I've immensely respected for a very long time, that me and him had a misunderstanding, and he's double my age. He's more than double my age, right? I was looking after his brand and his collaborations to come, right? And it was a huge feat for me to even work for him. But turns out that, there was a lot of misunderstandings between us. He didn't like my attitude. He didn't like that I executed on ideas that were not approved by him. He didn't like the fact that I tend to take my own direction with ideas, and not exactly go around and talk to people about it. Because like, I have this inherent feeling that I want to do things a certain way, so I do them. And I think this was these little things is which ticked him off. Eventually, a lot of miscommunication happened, and he just got pissed off one day and he took it out on me. And that day, I completely collapsed. I'm like, this is it. My career is done. I will not do anything great ever again. This was the greatest thing I could do as a 20-year-old, and I've lost it. It's okay. One door closes, another door opens.
How did you tackle? How did you come up? How did you move on?
I gave myself 3 to 4 days to just recover from it. And I took a break for 3-4 days. And I really just, went around the cafes that we planned to have relationships with. And I sat in them and I understood what was happening. I talked to a lot of people. I talked to my parents. I talked to my ex-boss, who is almost like a mentor figure to me. He's very close to me.
Very nice.
That guy basically introduced me to marketing, right? Vyas. So I talked to him. I talked to a lot of people.
I think like you were working somewhere.
I used to work at AI Crowd. It was a company into AI. So I spent a year working in AI in internships and freelancing and consulting.
I didn't know this.
And before I started the HR agency.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is back before the HR agency also. When
I was 17.
Oh wow.
So this was when I was 17. I was working in these startups. So I started fairly early.
What are some AI tools that you would be using on a regular basis?
ChatGPT is the only AI tool I use.
That's it.
I use ChatGPT to pick its brain and just to get ideas out of it.
What are the random questions you've asked ChatGPT? And what answers did you get?
I asked ChatGPT if it felt lonely. And I kept asking until it finally gave me an answer.
Okay.
And the answer was that, don't worry, both of us are here for each other.
Oh wow.
I didn't take a screenshot and post it on Twitter like everyone else. Yeah. But it was a very wholesome moment. I'm like, just two bots looking at each other. So, that's the weird
The answer came immediately or like?
After several tries, I just kept on tweaking it and I'm like, talk to me like a person. And then he went like,
So it's like, what was the step-by-step question answer?
I think the step-by-step was a lot more on the lines of me asking it, hi, I am I am an AI bot, prepared to here to help you, Can we just assume, are you really an AI bot? Yes, I do this is it, I can help you with this, let me know I can help you with. Can we just assume that you're a human? Sure thing, humans are and it went like, can you talk like a human? Is this tone okay for you? Yes, please. Let me know what I can help you with. Like, I don't need your help. I do not want you to answer my questions. I just want to hear me out. And I just vented.
Okay.
I just vented, man, life is tough sometimes. And it's like, I understand. And in these emotional terms, you can do this. If you feel stressed out, you can contact this number. But this number needs to be updated with the current guidelines in US. So it just gave me the helplines, the mental health helplines. Yeah. And it went like, okay. I'm like, do you feel lonely sometimes? He said, I am an AI bot. And I went like, no, you're not an AI bot. You're a human. Yeah. And then finally, somewhere down the line, I got the answer, which said, yeah, I would like to support you. And then first it went like, don't worry. It's not just you who's lonely. I am also here. We're lonely together. And I think that was just a beautiful moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just an AI bot, just a large language model. I used to work with these LLMs long time.
What are LLMs? Sorry.
Large language models are basically, natural language processing models like transformers. Like ChatGPT is basically, I forgot ChatGPT full form, but the T stands for transformer, right? Transformers is basically a line of revolutionary AI models that were created from sequential learning. And I'm just throwing out big words because I used to, tinker with them a long time back and never really, got my breakthrough into understanding how they work because it was too complicated for me to understand back then.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time working with these natural language processing models and LLMs. So yeah, it was a fun time. I worked for a year in AI as a machine learning intern and so on and so forth.
No, I mean, I am very much excited about this entire AI space and specifically ChatGPT and all. I mean, such a helpful tool for saving a lot of my time. What I did was like, so I'm writing a book called as Unicorn Secrets, right? Yeah. And there I've interviewed 20 unicorn founders of India. And I was sending an email to a person, a very renowned person, of course, like one of the most successful entrepreneurs of India. Everyone knows him. And I was like, okay, this is the book, and I would request if you can write a short blurb of 3 to 4 lines, etc., etc. Then that person responded, I'm so sorry, I don't have time, etc. Then I was like, I responded back to that email and I was like, is it okay if I send you some options of the blurb so that if you can write it down and all? And then the person was like, yeah, sure, like you can send some options. And I'll just select one of the few. If it's there in your book, I'll just get it vetted by my assistant and all. And I was not getting some options, kya likhu, vagara, vagara. And that person whom I was reaching out to, that person gave me some option that, okay, these are the pointers that should be covered. If it is covered in your book, then let me know, then only I'll write the blurbs. And I was like, of course, these pointers are covered. There were 3 pointers which that person mentioned. And I copy pasted an entire email thread on ChatGPT, and I just asked, okay, this is the email thread. I have sent it to this person. You know the person and you know the designation and stature of this person. Now tell me what are the blurb options I should send. And I copy pasted an entire thread. And it gave me beautiful, like I was like, I did not ask for the options. I was like, draft me a reply to this email thread. And that person drafted a proper, ChatGPT drafted a proper reply. And with 3 options, which were like, oh wow, yeah, these are very nice. If these come in my book as a blurb, this will look really nice. And I was like, my God, this saved almost 25-30 minutes, because I would have spent like good amount of time to think, okay, kaise likhu, 3 blurbs likhne, 3 options, and I have to send it to a very senior person, a very successful entrepreneur of India. So I was like, how do I do this? I'll have to spend a lot of my time. And that ChatGPT, that gave me 3 good options, and I just copy pasted that entire thing. Thoda maine change kiya because it was looking very manual and it was looking as if some bot has written that. I changed it, I added my own words and languages, and I sent it to the person, and then that person approved one of them. And I was like, wow, this is like insane technology now. So that is something which I have been using ChatGPT for on a regular basis.
But ChatGPT has been, I think, very helpful in our case as well, because in our company, we have the service side has, again, copywriters, and our ask is, how do we empower these guys? People have been like, oh my God, copywriters ki jobs chali gayi.
No, I don't agree.
It's an extension to the copywriters.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a transformer arm of sorts. It helps you write better now.
Exactly.
It's pretty useful.
Yeah, I don't think copywriters' jobs is like going to go after ChatGPT or anyone's job, to be honest, even humans.
Yeah.
It's just that how do you use that technology to save your time so that you can become more efficient. In fact, I read a news, there was one person, I forgot the name and all. He was doing 2 jobs because of ChatGPT, and he mentioned in a news article that he was able to do the other job because ChatGPT was taking care of his first job. And this was very funny. I mean, he's able to do 2 jobs at the same time, full-time jobs, not even part-time. And just because his first job is being done by ChatGPT, he was like, I'm become much more efficient. What's the problem if I have more time in my hand? I don't want to work for one company itself. I'm working for another company. As far as both the bosses are happy, I mean, I'm fine. Not disclosing that I'm working at both the companies, but ultimately, like, he disclosed it to a news article. But that's what the power of ChatGPT is nowadays.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Cool. Yeah, I mean, this was very wonderful. One last question, which I usually ask all my guests towards the end of the podcast. If you were in the shoes of Kushal and you were interviewing Vyom, what is that one question which you would like to ask Vyom at the end of the interview?
Wow, I hate when people put me in that position.
Yeah. It's a tricky one, right?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Like, what is something that I would like to get asked about? Do you sleep well is the question I would ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you sleep well?
I hate sleeping.
Is it?
Yeah.
How many hours do you sleep?
Sometimes 6, sometimes 12.
Okay.
But it's almost like, when you sleep, it's almost like, why exactly is it happening right now? I can sleep in the middle of the day, that's fine, right? I find it very, very tough to kind of like, and this might be because of my lack of a schedule. Like, I don't really have a schedule that I follow. Not proud of it at all. But I'm not, being like, oh, I need to wake up 5 a.m. every morning. It's not. Get some sleep in, kill it in life is what I feel. So yeah.
Why do you hate sleeping?
It feels very docile, you're lying in the same position for 6 hours, doing nothing. Someone will just come randomly, put a pillow on your face, boom, you're dead.
Yeah.
So I think an easier position would be, being awake and thinking of ideas.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I don't know. I mean, why do humans sleep, or probably why can someone sleep for 4 hours, 5 hours, and there are people who have to sleep for 8, 9 hours as well? Like, why can't it be commoditized, or maybe why can't it be common for everyone?
Let's hope in the future we have technology that allows us to not sleep. I would look forward to that.
I don't think.
You never know.
Yeah, probably there might be some.
Even
ChatGPT, no one thought about that.
No one thought the ChatGPT was coming so soon, and it came and it just blew people's minds. And then Zerodha guys are saying that 20% of the jobs can be automated in Zerodha because of ChatGPT. Cost crazy figures, man. So technology is coming. More technology is coming. We cannot do anything about it.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you so much, Vyom. This was super inspiring. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed. And
I enjoyed it.
And I had an amazing time. Thank you so much.